I see, I see. So that's the latest scoop. Good thing you didn't rat me out. Otherwise, who knows where I'd have to be hiding to avoid attention. No idea. Sorry. I've already cashed out of the canned knowledge business.
Huh? You mean you stopped selling it?
That's right. With so much canned knowledge flooding the market, it was becoming impossible to fetch decent prices anymore. Besides, it seems that group of smugglers has practically taken over the market. It's a little rule of mine to never fight for a share of someone else's market. If I'm gonna make Mora, it's gonna be the lion's share. Plus, with regulations getting as tight as they are now, I figured I might as well just hang it up.
Aw, sounds like we came all this way for nothing.
Well, not completely. Granted, I don't know who's behind all the smuggling activity, but since you didn't sell me out, I'll let you in on what I do know. After all, those smugglers have really crossed the line, butting their way into the market like that. I hope their luck runs out soon so that I can take over. I mean, so that the industry can become more fairly regulated.
Hey, you just want to make more business for yourself.
Don't underestimate its value. Think about it. You can gain all sorts of knowledge while bypassing the troublesome process of studying. Naturally, that makes it a product worth a high price. Of course, not everyone needs that kind of knowledge, but in a market as big as Sumeru, there is plenty of demand. Plus, the cost of production is relatively low, so even if dealers have to cover transportation costs, there's still an enormous profit to be made.
Then why does the academia prohibit selling canned knowledge?
Being able to gain complex knowledge and become a scholar with the snap of your fingers does sound like a dream, doesn't it? But everything in the world comes at a price, right? Gaining knowledge is a complicated process. It requires learning, thinking, and practice. Even when it comes to my own business, I have to go through a lot of preparation before I put anything out for sale. But with canned knowledge, one may simply skip all the hassle and get whatever they need to know immediately. That inherently leads to at least two potential problems. First, you'll accept the knowledge as factual without a second thought, and you'll find it very hard to forget. This means that if the knowledge is flawed, then it'll be very difficult to correct. And second, excess use of knowledge capsules over an extended time diminishes your ability to think. You'll end up becoming like a library that can only store knowledge.
Oh, that does sound pretty dangerous. Traveler, you used canned knowledge before. Did you feel any negative effects?
Of course, using it sparingly is not an issue, which is exactly why I used to sell it. It's just like how medicine can be used to cure diseases, but can also do harm when overused. It all comes down to balancing the right amount. Anyway, back to the point. There'll be consequences if the sale of canned knowledge by those smugglers is left unchecked. And what's worse, you're playing right into their hands by focusing only on the canned knowledge that's made its way into the market. As far as I know, their real purpose is to distribute information about the Court of Desolation. That's where the real business opportunity is.
The Court of Desolation? What's that?
Rumor has it that it's a site of ruins from the age of King Deshret. It's said that with the treasures inside, one can see beyond life and death. But any research of the ruins is strictly banned by the academia. Word on the street is that there'll be an auction taking place in the desert. They're auctioning rare canned knowledge, some of which is related to the Court of Desolation. Once I heard about the auction, I began to suspect that all the canned knowledge popping up on the market is just a diversion. I'd wager that their real target is the Court of Desolation. Because studying those ruins is not just a simple matter. It requires knowledge spanning several fields. So, if they're aiming to quickly assemble a research team, canned knowledge would be the best solution. As for the auction, chances are they're trying to attract and scout out anyone with interest or expertise on the subject. On the other hand, no one can say for sure that they will ever succeed in finding the Court of Desolation. So, they might as well just make a fortune while they're at it by hyping up the related canned knowledge at the auction.
Sounds to Paimon like we better head to the desert and see the auction. Who knows, we might find some leads there.
That's right. And now that I've shared all that valuable info with you, it's time to introduce our limited edition desert travel kit. It comes complete with a map straight to the auction location. As I said, I also have to make preparations before I sell things, right? Now, let me consider how much I should sell this for. I've got it! 500,000 mora per kit! That's quite the bargain. We'll even offer a 50% discount for little Paimon's travel kit. Only 250,000 mora.
What? That's super expensive!
No need to worry, little one. Cyno's the one heading this investigation, isn't he? I'll be sure to bill all the expenses to him. All you'll need to do is tell him to go to the Merchants Guild and pay the bill once the mission is completed. Just, be sure to not send him directly here, though, okay? That would leave me completely in the open. I'm sure the General Mahamatra of the Academia would never leave any debt unpaid, and I can only imagine the funds he's allocated for investigations. Oh, maybe I should charge him more.
We'd better get going. If Dory keeps at it, we'll be out of mora.
By the way, it would be quite a tricky task to get all the canned knowledge off the market, don't you think? You'd probably be making some enemies along the way, too.
Huh? What makes you say that?
Because in the short run, the circulation of canned knowledge benefits everyone. Whoever's behind the smuggling gets a chance to study the Court of Desolation, while knowledge dealers stand to make big profits. Even the buyers get a rare chance to easily access knowledge that's hard to come by. So, you see, it's a win for everyone. Who would want anyone stepping in and ruining the deal, As for the long-term consequences that lie ahead, most people can't see them, nor would they even believe them. So, if you think about it, you're setting yourself up to be targeted by everyone. You've got quite the challenge ahead of you. I can only imagine how stressed you'll feel. How about I recommend a book for you? It's called 100 Ways to De-Stress and Live Your Best. I'll offer you a 30% discount right now.
Oh, again? No way we're falling for that. Cyno! We got news for you. What the smugglers are really after is a chance to research the Court of Desolation. They are hosting an auction in the desert to sell canned knowledge about those ruins.
The Court of Desolation. I won't ask how you came by this intel, but is it reliable?
We also heard that the Court of Desolation contains treasures from the time of King Deshret. Is that true?
Partially. It was a secret place built by a dark sect from the age of King Deshret. The ruins do contain treasures, but the place is also rife with unknown dangers. According to past research, one must forfeit their life as the price of entering. They are not some ordinary ruins, so the Academia has strictly prohibited any related research. However, if they are using the canned knowledge as a way to move information and recruit researchers, then I suppose your conclusion does hold some validity. Regardless, we need to go into the desert. Less in recent years, but there are always those who attempt to do so, both inside and outside the Academia. After all, legends claim that whoever obtains the treasures inside can see beyond life and death, or even resurrect the dead. Death is often the greatest grievance for many people. Though they're fully aware that the chance of these rumors being true are slim, they hold tight to such fantasies and pursue them regardless. That's why some continue to research it, regardless of it being a restricted subject. On top of that, it's hard to track the source of information contained in canned knowledge. Do you know where the auction is taking place? Good. We'll go investigate. But before that, we'll have to get rid of these people tailing us.
Huh? People tailing us?
That's right. Let's begin to leave town and see what happens. I'm sure they'll reveal themselves as soon as we make a move. Don't worry. I'll make short work of them.
That's Cyno for ya. But we can lend a hand too, you know.
Hold it right there. Heading to the desert, are we? I would think twice if I were you.
Huh? Who are you?
That doesn't matter. All you need to know is that someone wishes to inform you that it's not too late to turn back. You must be Cyno. I've heard a lot about you. You've got quite a reputation. But this time you're in over your head. Unless you turn around right now, I'm afraid that even you won't return unscathed. And as for you two, why bother sticking your noses in trouble that doesn't even concern you? Hmm?
That's right! We won't just sit back and do nothing!
Ha! Have you really thought it through? You're not just doing this for recognition, are you, Cyno? My employer said that he's willing to compromise as long as you just walk away. He could, for example, reduce the amount of canned knowledge on the market. I'm sure that would help your investigation appear to be successful enough. On top of that, he's willing to give you a cut of the profit. So you see, you get both Mora and a boost to your reputation. I can't think of a reason why you would pass that up.
Is that so? Well, I can't think of a reason why I'd accept. I've heard enough. Get out of my way.
Sorry, no can do. We're getting paid to ensure you disappear. Since you won't turn back willingly, then we're gonna have to make you go back.
Happy to apply. There is no escape. Now you shall perish.
Surrender! Nowhere to run! Need more.
Rise. Orders given. Orders received.
Spring forth! I'll be back. You are not welcome. You talking today?
I'll protect us.
Illusion shattered.
Propagate! Your sins weigh upon your soul. Their penance is due! How regret. This doesn't change anything. You're in over your head, Cyno. There will be others coming for you. You'll regret it. Let's get out of here.
No need. Even if we apprehend them, there'll be little information to gain. Besides, it might also be a trap. I apologize for bringing you into this dangerous mess. Just being associated with me will inevitably cause you to become targets as well. You should be careful from now on. Sleep with one eye open.
Wait, hold on! There's no way anyone could sleep without closing their eyes? Right?
You'd be surprised. Anyway, just be careful. Mercenaries are never quick to forget. In their line of work, even a single failure is bad for reputation. They may even stay hidden in some dark corner for a very long time, waiting for the right moment to ambush you. They'll do anything to keep their prestige intact. Yes, I remember it like it was yesterday. I was carrying out a mission with one of my superiors. I didn't have much experience at the time, and I let my guard down after we had closed the case. We ended up being attacked by the remainder of the mercenaries. My superior was injured while protecting me, and we struggled to gain control of the situation. I've become more vigilant ever since, staying alert even while I sleep.
Whoa! Who could have seen that coming? Was he okay?
He survived with a fractured wrist. It took 2 months for him to recover. But luckily, there weren't any further complications. Last year, he transferred to an administrative role for personal reasons, and no longer participates in live missions. His name is Taj Radkani, a very well-respected Matra. You'll have the chance to meet him someday. Anyway, our mission will be dangerous. I'm already used to such grueling conditions, but I don't want to see you two get hurt.
Don't worry, Paimon will stay alert. We'll see danger coming a mile away.
Good. Don't worry. It won't be long till we're at the bottom of this. And once this is all over, I'll sweep away any other hidden dangers.
So hot. If only there was some shape for us to cool off under.
We still have a long way to go, so you'll need to hang in there for a while longer. This is not a good place to rest anyway.
Okay. But don't you feel hot too, Cyno?
Of course, but I'm accustomed to these conditions.
Care to share any tips? Paimon's about to melt away.
Just try to stay focused. Use your willpower to support your mind. The moment you start to give in is when you'll feel more tired. Take one step after another. Don't let your mind perceive your body's limitations. We must get somewhere safe before we can relax.
Okay, if you say so. But where would be a more safe place to rest? Paimon thinks this is a perfectly safe place to stop. Just look around, it's just sand and desert. There aren't any monsters for miles around. Whoa! Where did these scorpions come from?
Watch out. Something's not right about them.
Shine down!
Let the show begin. Huh? Life goes on. Wait. Huh?
Whew. Well, Paimon really didn't expect to see those here.
Those weren't just normal scorpions. See? There are marked numbers on their pincers. They were raised by someone. Someone doesn't want us to show up at the auction. These scorpions were sent to keep us away. We are surrounded by desert as far as the eye can see. If we were killed out here, nobody would ever know.
This place is super dangerous. Good thing we didn't let our guard down.
Something's not right. There are no roads in the desert, so how could they know where we are? Stay still. Here's the answer. It must have planted this on you.
Huh? What is it?
A miniature tracking device made by the Ksharwar. They can use this to discern your approximate location. But this device wasn't licensed for mass production. Where did they get it? Could someone from the Ksharwar also be involved? But that doesn't seem right.
Whoa! Paimon never knew that kind of thing even existed! Why would it be on him?
They probably planted it on the Traveler during our fight with the mercenaries earlier. It was a frantic fight. It's only natural you didn't notice the device.
Well, good thing you were able to find it, Cyno. Now let's get rid of it.
No. Hold on to it for now. It might still be useful for us. Let's keep heading to the auction. It would be dangerous to linger here any longer.
Weird. Is this where the auction is? Yeah, not a single soul. Maybe they're on break right now or something.
We didn't waste any time getting here after we defeated those mercenaries. They shouldn't have been able to give any warning of our arrival. But even so, they still knew we were coming. Someone here must have been watching the tracker, and warned everyone to clear out.
Aw, what should we do now?
We searched the area. They couldn't have moved all the knowledge capsules so quickly. There might still be something left for us to find.
All right, let's take a good look around the area.
Did you find anything?
No, nothing in particular.
It's possible there weren't many knowledge capsules containing info about the Court of Desolation, so they carried those off. But don't worry. I have another idea. You two start heading back the way we came. I will remain hidden here. Come back and meet me here after some time has passed. I'm sure something will come up by then. They packed up in a hurry and didn't have time to carry off all their goods. They won't just leave them here. Once they think we've left the premises, they'll be back to pick up their belongings. We just need to make sure the tracker goes far enough from here to make them assume that it's safe to come back.
Oh, Paimon gets it. We'll lure them out because they'll think we've left. Okay, we'll start heading away and leave this place to you.
Yes, and don't worry. If they dare to return, I'll make sure they stay. There's no time to lose. Leave as soon as you're ready.
Ugh, so tired. We've probably gone far enough now, right? Yay. Let's rest for a little while before we go back to find Cyno. It's probably about time for us to head back to the auction. Let's go. Maybe Cyno Cyno's finally found some leads. Oh, looks like Cyno caught someone! So you're the bad guy behind all this, aren't ya? Alright, tell Paimon everything you know!
I didn't act immediately when he showed up. Rather, I laid low and observed for a while instead. He is not the primary instigator, but he is most likely one of the more important dealers here. Am I right?
Yes, impressive. You certainly live up to your reputation, Cyno. If I had any idea you were still around, I wouldn't have gotten so greedy.
Huh? Greedy? What do you mean by that?
Once everyone knew you were coming, all the canned knowledge dealers abandoned their goods and fled at once. Obviously, there wasn't time to pack up everything. Since all the goods were just left here unsupervised, I thought I'd use the opportunity to come back and take what I could. You know, free merchandise is good business, but I suppose there's no use explaining it now.
You must know who's manufacturing and selling the canned knowledge, correct? Will you tell us willingly? Or do I need to make you talk?
No, I'll talk. But before that, perhaps we can take the conversation elsewhere? If we stay here, chances are that someone will see me with you. That would put both me and my family in danger.
All right. Where do you suggest we go?
How about my home in Aru Village? It should be safe there.
Fine. Let's head out. You can throw away the tracker now, Traveler.
Listen, buddy, you better not try to trick us!
Come on now. Do you really think I'd try to pull anything under Cyno's watch? Seriously, what can I even do?
Dad, you're back! Oh, we have guests? Hi there.
This is my daughter, Simin. She can be a little shy of strangers. Why don't you run along now, dear? Dad needs to talk with our guests.
Oh, okay.
Everyone knows Cyno in our business, but let me ask, who are you two?
Paimon is Paimon, and this is the Traveler.
To be honest, I really didn't expect to see Cyno, the lone operator, working with any partners. When I saw the tracker start moving away, I assumed you had decided to just go back empty-handed. But even though you caught me, I'd still urge you to stop while you still can. You should abandon this investigation.
Why is that?
Everything from the manufacturing of canned knowledge to the sales and even splitting the profits. Every step of the process involves dozens, if not hundreds of people. Massive profits have brought everyone together in this business. Everyone will try their best to defend this industry that we've worked to build. It will be a long and difficult fight, even for you, Cyno. And even if you manage to win in the end, no one will thank you. If anything, you yourself might even feel remorse. Why are you so bent on putting us out of business?
Everyone has their own reasons for what they do. I don't have to explain mine.
Here's some tea, Dad. And for the guests, too.
Right. I forgot to offer tea to our guests. Thank you.
Don't mention it. And, I should tell you that our tea tastes kind of bitter, but I put some sugar in to make it a little tastier.
That's my girl. Do we still have any sugar left? If not, I'll buy some more next time.
Yes, we do. Okay. I'm gonna go have a rest now.
Didn't you say that everyone's in it for the massive profits? That sure doesn't seem to be the case for you.
Actually, that's what I wanted to talk to you about. I was hoping to ask you for a favor. My daughter was born with a chronic disease, so she has a relatively weak heart and lungs. Even slightly strenuous exercise can cause her to faint and prove to be a life-threatening risk. That's why she never really had any friends to play with, and why she locks herself up in her room most of the time. She has to take lots of medicine, and it doesn't come cheap. As for me, I was just an average merchant. I would wake up early and travel all around to make a profit. But the Mora was still nowhere near enough. I could only watch my daughter's health deteriorate day by day. Until one day, someone reached out and showed me a way to really make a profit.
Selling canned knowledge.
That's right. With all the Mora I made, I could finally afford medical treatment for my daughter. Nothing made me happier than seeing her get better. There are many others like me. Smuggling canned knowledge might seem like an unforgivable crime to you, but to us, it's a means of survival. I wanted to tell you all this so that maybe you could understand and change your mind. Please, stay out of this, Cyno. Give us a way to survive.
Oh no. That means that if we prevent the sale of canned knowledge, his daughter will...
I must get to the truth. I can find someone to help treat your child, but I cannot turn a blind eye to the smuggling. These are two completely different issues.
I somehow knew you would say that. But having your word to help my daughter is enough for me. Since you insist on continuing the investigation, you should have a look around the back of my home. You'll find some goods I received just recently. I think everything will become clear to you once you see them.
Whoa! Look at all of this!
Yes, all neatly packed away and organized in boxes. To think that this is only one dealer's worth. Small producers couldn't possibly support such a large quantity of goods. Could the Academia have a hand in this? But such a volume of goods wouldn't be able to slip through inspection.
Huh? Look! These seem different from the other knowledge capsules we've seen. Maybe they contain knowledge about the Court of Desolation.
Yes, that would make sense. Wait, what's this? Yes, it's a Matra seal, indicating that the goods have passed Matra inspection. I started to suspect that someone in the Academia might be involved when I found the tracker earlier. But how they could ship so much canned knowledge out of the Academia was still a mystery. The pieces have now all fallen into place. With this Matra seal, goods can leave the Academia without undergoing a second inspection. No wonder they don't want me to investigate. It turns out that a Matra is behind this. Even I find it hard to believe. Could I ask you for a favor, Traveler? Since all this canned knowledge came from the Academia, then it's highly likely that the knowledge regarding the Court of Desolation originated from research files stored within the Academia. If we can enter the repository, we can find out who accessed these files. But, considering my current status, If I suddenly show up at the Academia now, it will only draw unnecessary attention. You'll need to be the one who checks the records. I'll write a letter to Nabil, and he'll take you there.
Sure thing! Leave it to us!
I'll also keep working here in the meantime. Although our leads are all currently pointing to someone within the Academia, it's obvious that they also have power outside of it. We can get more information on other dealers from Bahari. I'll stay here and make some preparations. You can come find me anytime if you uncover more info.
Hello, we meet again. Have you managed to find Cyno? If so, how's he doing? I read the letter, and must admit that I hadn't expected things to be so serious. Sorry. Had I known it would be so dangerous, I never would have gotten you two involved.
It's alright. We wanted to help Cyno too.
I can tell that he really trusts you. The research files stored away in the restricted repository are far from ordinary. Everything there is essentially about dangerous research that's forbidden by the Academia. Even I don't usually have authorization to enter, but with this letter from Cyno, it shouldn't be a problem. That's right. Granted, the Academia is very supportive when it comes to research. They encourage scholars to conduct all kinds of studies. However, some forms of research have proven to be so dangerous that the Matra have to step in and put a stop to them. Normally, after some particular research becomes prohibited, majority of the related files will be destroyed. But some information may be retained as a record to warn later researchers. Such information is kept in the restricted repository, which is heavily guarded. Follow me, I'll show you. Hopefully, we'll find the answers that Cyno is looking for.
The restricted repository. Sounds kinda dangerous. We'd better keep an eye out.
Okay, I understand. Since Cyno is vouching for you, I suppose we can trust you. You may browse the information regarding the Court of Desolation. Ask me if you have any questions. But I'd suggest avoiding any other research files. Sometimes the less you know, the better.
So this is the restricted repository. I never thought I'd see the inside of it. This is a first for both you and me.
There are many who do not openly converse with others within the Academia. But even so, there are very few who I feel could be trusted with a real secret. Cyno happens to be one of them. Even though he's no longer in the Academia, I still trust him. And that goes for anyone he trusts as well. The files are over there. Just make it quick.
Whoa, there's a lot to read here. Have you found anything yet? Huh, it reminds Paimon of Cyno's former partner.
His former partner? That would be Taj Radkani. But you're not far off. Mortada Radkani was Taj's only son.
What? Taj's son went to prison for researching the Court of Desolation?
Why do you sound so surprised? You're a Matra, aren't you?
It's just that they arrested him in secret, so it was never publicly known. All I knew was that Taj's son was taken to prison. It's not just me. I bet even Cyno didn't know about it.
No. Unfortunately, there isn't. He took his own life not long after he went to prison. You've heard about Taj, right? I know Nabil has. every Matra knows him. I would say he's probably pushing 50 this year, which makes him one of the most experienced Matra. He is a man of integrity and honesty, and has made countless achievements. His reputation goes back a long way now. He used to be Cyno's only partner. Taj is also skilled with the polearm, so the two of them used to practice together when they weren't out on a mission.
Ah, right. I heard Cyno mention that before. But one day, Taj suddenly decided to retire from active duty and transfer to an administrative position. I wonder if it had anything to do with the Mortada incident.
Taj was already very well known by the time Mortada was born. So when Mortada came to study at the Academia, everyone had high expectations of him. He had to face a lot of pressure. Then he had an unpleasant dispute with his father, but they were eventually able to work things out. Not long after they had reconciled, Mortada was caught studying the Court of Desolation, which is in violation of Academia rules. Taj arrested his son and put him behind bars. He begged for leniency, but Taj wouldn't agree. Shortly after, Mortada slit his own throat with the pieces of a broken bowl. By the time Taj arrived at the scene, it was already too late. He never had a last chance to see his son. Since then, Taj has been periodically coming to the repository. He'll hold the files from his son's research with a remorseful look on his face. I guess that's why he chose to move to administrative work.
I had no idea that happened. That must be really hard for Taj. I've never heard him mention that to anyone.
Oh, that's awful. Paimon feels terrible now. Are you okay, Traveler?
Wait, don't tell me you're starting to suspect Taj now. Impossible. Taj would never do that. I mean, yes, he does have a big reputation and has access to such research, but this is Taj we're talking about. He would never do anything against regulations. Never.
But if you claim that the canned knowledge was originating from the Academia, then Taj is indeed a suspect. Because he was the only one who could have recently gone through research files about the Court of Desolation. There are so many files about those ruins that it would be difficult to restart any research, since the 7 original researchers were put behind bars. It's hard enough just trying to make sense of these files. However, if the files were made into canned knowledge, they could be understood immediately. By doing so, one could restart the research outside the Academia without anyone ever noticing.
But even so...
According to the legends, the treasures inside the Court of Desolation could allow someone to see beyond life and death, or even bring the dead back to life, right? So maybe Taj is trying to bring Mortada back. Though I don't really believe Taj would ever try to do something like that. I'm just telling you what I know. It's the job of the Matra to find the truth and track down criminals. Do you have any questions? If not, it'd be best if you would leave now.
Paimon's kinda confused. What should we do from here?
Oh, now that I think about it, Cyno suspected that the canned knowledge was coming from within the Academia, right? There's no way so many boxes could ever get through without drawing any attention. Maybe we could try asking people around the gate of the Academia and see what we can find. Don't worry, Taj. I won't let your reputation be tarnished.
Alrighty then, let's go ask around.
Excuse me, have you seen any large shipments of goods leaving the Academia recently?
Huh. Well, yes, but isn't that pretty normal? The Academia consumes so many resources each day, everything from cooking ingredients, raw materials, even equipment for experiments. It's normal for goods to be coming in and out.
Right, but we're looking for shipments with a Matra seal. Have you seen any like that?
That I'm not too sure of. I normally wouldn't notice whether the goods have any seals or not. Maybe you should ask someone else.
Excuse me, have you seen any large shipments of goods leaving the academia recently?
No, not that I'm aware of. Perhaps you could ask someone else?
Excuse me, have you seen any large shipments of goods leaving the academia recently?
Huh? Why do you ask?
I'm just checking to ensure nothing unusual has happened.
Well, I can't say it's unusual, but I did notice something. There's a Kashar researcher who's been making frequent shipments recently. Dozen of large boxes each time, if not more. When I asked him about it, he said they just contained a bunch of old worn-out machines. The Kashar used to often sell scrap machines to traveling merchants, so I didn't really think anything of it. But he's been making a lot of shipments lately. There weren't ever so many outdated machines before.
And you didn't find that suspicious? Why didn't you report it for inspection?
Well, the boxes were stamped with a Matra seal. Why should I bother? Of course, I did start to wonder about the seal once, thinking that maybe they forged it or something. But you know what happened? A man named Taj came here and told me that he'd already inspected the goods personally and ordered me to leave the researcher alone. I couldn't question his word, could I?
Impossible. There must be some sort of mistake. There's no way Taj would ever... No, I won't believe it. Taj is an honorable man. Someone must be trying to frame him. Wait, I know another Matra who works with Taj. I can ask him to let us speak with Taj.
As I've already told you, I don't have any way to contact Taj. A few Eremites showed up looking for Taj yesterday, and he met with them in his office. I was standing outside of the door, and I vaguely heard them say, "Found it." Before I realized it, the door opened, and Taj left with the group of them. I noticed that he had also changed into Eremite attire. But Taj didn't come to work today, so I've also started to feel a little concerned about the whole thing. If you'd like to speak with him, maybe you can try visiting his home. He lives just on the outskirts of Sumeru City.
A group of Eremites? Could Taj really be the one making all the canned knowledge?
No way. Taj is just like Cyno. They're considered heroes among the Matra. There is no way that he would... Fine. Looks like there's no other choice.
Hey, don't let it get to you just yet. We'll get to the bottom of this once and for all.
So, this is Taj's place. There doesn't seem to be anyone here.
Well, what should we do then? Do we break in?
No. Wait, the door's unlocked. Did Taj leave in a hurry? Well, anyway, we're still not sure if he's the real culprit. Probably not a good idea to go in without permission. You're right. Even if we apply for a warrant now, we won't be able to do anything until tomorrow at the earliest. This is an emergency. I just hope Taj doesn't mind. What's this?
It's a paper full of names written on it. Oh, and a map! Nabil, can you make any sense of this?
Yes, this is definitely Taj's handwriting. These papers look like records. These are the transactions between Taj and some other people. From the look of the numbers, the scale of this smuggling case is absolutely massive. The whole operation involves more than 300 people, including dozens of celebrities. These are famous scholars, merchants, mercenaries. I have a feeling that Cyno might be unaware of what he's up against. There's no way anyone could face such a large organization on their own. You're right, that's just who he is. As for the map, it appears to indicate the location of the Court of Desolation. Let's take it to Cyno and let him decide how to proceed. If Taj really has turned on his honor and committed these terrible acts, then I suspect that he might already be at the Court of Desolation as we speak. I don't want to suspect him, but I also don't know him very well. Maybe Cyno will know what to do.
All right, we'll give these to Cyno and see. Let's go! Well, Cyno, what do you make of it?
Taj. It's been a while since I last saw him. From what I remember, he is a straight-laced man. Although he would resort to extreme measures from time to time, he would never do anything against his beliefs.
So do you think he's the one behind all this?
I'm still not sure. I cannot imagine how devastating the incident with Mortada was for him. Nor can I deny the possibility that people can change. Whether it's out of love for his son or for other reasons, we have to see for ourselves to judge him. Or rather, the person he's become. That's right. It's clear that he had a hand in this case, yet he made no report of it. There's no doubting that. That's also why I need to see him. I must ask his reasoning and judge him myself. Time is ticking. Let's go.
So this is the Court of Desolation. Are there really any treasures buried here? Oh, Paimon's kinda nervous. Could it be dangerous?
Don't worry. You'll be safe with me.
Illusion shattered!
Let's dance.
Nowhere to run! Surrender!
Shine down!
Propagate!
Look, these walls have definitely seen better days. Was there some sort of fight here? Let's keep going and see what we can find.
Illusion shattered!
Oh, let the show begin. plan, is it? Either way, we should be careful.
Let's dance.
Surrender!
A passage! Hopefully that's our way in. That eye seems to be staring right at us. This place gives Paimon the creeps. You go first. Let the show begin.
Shine down!
Opening box of Adeptitrix. Go.
Nowhere to run! Through me, justice is served! You stay condemned!
Ah, Cyno. It's been some time since I've seen you last. I trust you are doing well. Seeing that you've made it all the way here, you must be on the cusp of wrapping up your investigation, I presume. Even faster than I expected. Is it because you have some new partners now?
That's right. This case is nearly closed. But the most important answer still eludes me. Was it all your doing? Smuggling the canned knowledge? The research of the Court of Desolation?
Yes, it was me.
Then explain why.
That's the difficult part. Let's just say I've changed. I've become a selfish coward who only wants to pursue his own interests.
I find that hard to believe.
Oh, really? Way I see it, every person will end up like me sooner or later. When you're young, you press forward, unattached, living solely for the justice in your heart. But as you begin to age, you start to become more cautious. You know many things are wrong, but still turn a blind eye to them. I was the same. I never questioned my actions until Murtada died. I could feel the justice that I once strived to uphold slowly crumbling in my heart. I was completely dedicated to all that I did, but as I grew older, I found myself feeling alone, miserable. Can you imagine what it feels like to not have the will to live, but not be able to die? Murtada was sent to prison by my own hands. I set myself on this painful path. My son hated me till the day he died, and now I must live with that pain and regret. I failed him as a father. But now I have a chance to make it right. A chance to reunite with him. The Court of Desolation. Here lies the key to overcoming life and death. The power to even bring the dead back to life.
So, did you already find what you needed here?
See this door behind me? Behind it lies the treasures that I seek. I'm so close, Cyno. If only you hadn't arrived now, I could already have...
Enough conjecture. What has happened is already part of the past. You cannot bring the dead back to life. In the end, the treasures you seek are nothing but myths and legend.
Since you're so sure, why don't you just let me open the door and see then?
No. I sense danger behind that door. There will be dire consequences the moment you open it.
I beg you, as an old partner, can you let me fulfill my last wish just this once? Surely you get it by now. Doing your job without mercy will only drive people away from you. I'm the prime example.
I don't overthink things. If there is only one way for me to defend my principles, then that is the path I will take.
Seems there's no convincing you. All right then. Let's see if your polearm skills have improved at all. This power is mine. I will set things right no matter what the cost.
Let's dance.
There is no escape.
We all...
Germinate! Futile! Judgment is upon us. Their penance...
strength.
You feel it, don't you? I'm stronger than you remember. I gained new power when I entered the Court of Desolation. This is only a taste of it. Once I open the door behind me, this power will be complete. Even life and death will have no grip on me.
Uh-oh. We have to stop this guy!
I won't let you open that door.
I wouldn't be so sure. I'm afraid it won't be easy to stop me now that you're injured. Or are you ready to sacrifice your life for this?
I'll do what I have to.
I still remember when we first became partners. You were always charging forward and putting your life on the line, just like now. Even after all this time, you still haven't changed.
You haven't changed either. You left that list of names and map in your house on purpose, didn't you? You wanted me to be able to find you here. All of this was just part of the act you were putting on. What happened just now was also part of your plan. You might have fooled those on the list, but you will not fool me. I had my suspicions from the beginning, but I couldn't be sure until we fought. If he really had changed, your fighting style wouldn't be as it was before.
Huh? What do you mean, Cyno?
He never planned on opening the door. His true intention was...
What's happening?
Seems our time is running short. Let me make this quick then. After Mortada died, my spirit was crushed. For a long time, I was hoping this reality was just some terrible nightmare. I hoped I would just wake up and be able to see his smiling face again. That is when I was approached by someone who wished to collaborate and find the Court of Desolation together. I did some investigation of my own and discovered they were part of a massive organization. People from every walk of life are involved. They are relentless in their search, pouring countless mora into secret research, even sacrificing lives in hopes that the Court of Desolation would appear.
No wonder banning the research wasn't enough. A full-scale operation was already in motion.
I'm a flesh and blood human like anyone else, so I obviously hesitated and considered it. The thought of bringing my son back tugged at my heart, but in the end, I came to my senses. I knew that I could not let myself go down that path. I suddenly came to a realization amidst my suffering. The Court of Desolation, a place that once drove people to tragedy, was still doing so even centuries later. As long as this place exists, people will recklessly seek it out, just as Mortada did, generation after generation, regardless of the cost. Let it be buried beneath the sand forever. Once the Court of Desolation is gone, there will no longer be anyone obsessed with seeking it out. That's right. I acted as if I had abandoned my convictions just so that they would cooperate without raising any suspicion. This was the only way I could find and destroy this place. But that wasn't enough. I needed someone I could trust to bring the organization to justice. The Academia forbids the research of the Court of Desolation, so they would never approve my plan in the first place. To add to the problem, the organization is so powerful that they even have members working within the Academia. If I wished to destroy the organization, I couldn't just count on the Academia alone.
So, you pretended to be the one behind all this, as a test for me.
Yes. I'm sorry, but now I am assured. You haven't changed at all. You are still as you always were, fearless, and making no compromise. Anyway, this place is collapsing. You must leave now.
Wait! Aren't you leaving too? There are still loads of bad guys to catch outside!
His fate is already sealed. There is no life left inside him. He is like a candle with no more wick to burn. You planned it all from the very beginning, didn't you? Risking being treated as a traitor to collaborate with them. Sacrificing your own life to open and destroy the Court of Desolation.
Regardless, I made a grave mistake by allowing the smuggling and the research of this place. Let this be the final judgment on myself. I was always so busy with work that I never made time to fulfill Mortada's wishes. Finding this place was his biggest wish. Since I'll be reuniting with him here, I can only hope he won't have anything more to hold against me. I'll leave all those people on the list to you. Sorry for all the trouble I've caused.
There's nothing to be sorry for. We are partners. If you see Mortada, send him my greetings. Goodbye, old friend.
Dad, why are they so strict with me? I'm always the only one who gets in trouble.
Just leave me alone! Don't worry, I won't damage your precious reputation.
All right, Dad. Let's start over. By the way, I finally found an area of research I wish to pursue. Why can't you show even a little leniency? Why?
Because we are Matra.
The Court of Desolation has...
Just as Taj said, that place had caused too many disasters and tragedies. Being buried in quicksand is its rightful end. To them, as long as there's more to be made, they will disregard the Academia's rules, whether it's the Court of Desolation or anything else. Their only goal is to make massive profits off of dangerous research. Taj may have set them back with the Court of Desolation, but it won't be long before they continue searching for another target. That's an opportunity that I will not let them have.
We'll help too.
Thank you, but you've already done enough. Just leave the rest to me. I will bring them to justice myself. Besides, I promised you that I would sweep away any potential danger. So, that's what I'm going to do. Wait for me a caravan and Rebop 4 days from now.
We meet again. Thank you so much for all your help.
Nabil, what are you doing here?
Convicts from the desert are being escorted through Caravan Ribat, so I'm here to keep an eye on things. This should be the last group of them, so I'll be heading back to the Academia once they're cleared. The last few days have been quite the ride, but fortunately, I can say with confidence that this case is finally coming to an end. At first, the mercenary groups on the list were putting up quite a fight. They made several desperate attempts to cover up the truth. However, Cyno crossed the desert and took out their main camp overnight. After that, people on the list started to put pressure on the higher-ups within the Academia. Everyone was on edge, and the case came to a standstill.
And? Then what happened?
Well, then we received word that Taj Rudkani had sacrificed himself on the case. The news really stirred up the members of our ranks. The Matra then moved together against the enemy. We cleared out the traitors from within the Academia and arrested all the researchers on the list. Some of them managed to get out of the Academia, but still failed to escape. The scattered criminals were captured by Cyno all across Sumeru. I even heard that someone was about to escape to Fontaine, but was still apprehended just at the border. Having more than 300 prisoners apprehended for interrogation has definitely shaken things up recently.
Is Cyno alright? He didn't get injured, did he?
He seems fine, but nobody knows the real situation. He brought over 300 suspects to judgment all on his own. Among them were even some of our former colleagues. Not just the criminals are afraid of him. Even we start feeling a little nervous when he's around now. But even if we start feeling all self-conscious, thinking if we've done anything wrong, we're still always honored to have Cyno around. By the way, are you guys here to see Cyno? I think I just saw him walking in that direction when I was on watch nearby. He was walking with someone I didn't recognize, and then before I knew it, they were nowhere to be seen. If you happen to see him, please send my regards.
Sure thing, Nabil. You be careful too. Don't let any of those bad guys escape.
Don't worry about me. If anything happens, you can find me at the Academia anytime. Farewell then.
Trying to single-handedly bring 300 people to justice must feel pretty exhilarating. But I can assure you this is certainly not the best solution.
I'm aware. However, I learned something unexpected during interrogation. Apparently, someone had enticed Murtada Radkani into becoming interested in researching the Court of Desolation. Murtada had lived in his father's shadow all his life. Naturally, he wanted to conduct research that would seem groundbreaking and significant. After Murtada died, the organization tried to use Taj's shame regarding his son to add him to their ranks, toying with others' minds, treating lives like dirt, and doing anything for their own interests. This makes me angry.
Fine, I understand. This is a type of trap I've been working on which uses plants. Here, take some just in case you need them next time. If thrown into the mud, the trap will grow rapidly and disperse a pollen that has a paralyzing effect. I don't have much use for the traps these days, but maybe you will and can help me collect more testing data.
Cyno! Tainari! Oh, so Tainari must be who Nabil saw earlier. Are you also here to see Cyno?
That's right. Cyno asked me to collect some medicinal herbs to treat a girl named Simin. I also dropped by just to check for any injuries. He seems to be fine physically, but he looks a little more lonely than I remember. And Cyno, relax. You don't always have to look so serious, you know? Why don't you play more Genius Invocation TCG? Kale has always been a little wary of you, and your stern expression certainly isn't helping.
How is Kale these days?
She's grown a bit taller, but her grades could use some improvement. She still made many mistakes on her last test, even after I had marked all the important content in the book for her. After some time, I plan on having her go outside more. It just so happens that I have something she can help me with.
Huh? You mean Kale is leaving Avidia Forest? What happened?
I've asked her to host some ad hoc lectures to teach the dangers of canned knowledge, as well as how to use it safely. Although we've apprehended all the criminals behind the recent smuggling case, there are many people who are still curious and seek after canned knowledge. So I decided to ask her to work on increasing knowledge and awareness on the topic. Please be sure to keep an eye on her.
I will.
If anything else happens, the three of you can find me in the Avidia Forest. Take care.
I've already caught those who were preparing to attack you in secret. Even if some criminals did slip through our fingers, they wouldn't know that you were involved in the case. So you can relax.
But what about you, Cyno?
It's still not time for me to rest yet. Those who died have fulfilled their wishes, but those who are alive must continue pressing forward. I've been thinking about what Taj said in the Court of Desolation these last few days. His words were not empty. People do change, and no belief can completely resist the erosion of time. I just hope my own change will come slowly, so that I can press on a little further. That way, those who see me as their superior, and those who are following in my footsteps, will learn courage from my example, just as I gained courage from my own superiors, and my partner. I'll be fine. I'm also enjoying my chat with you right now, you know? There are many things I feel better about once I start to talk about them. Many people want to go to the desert to offer condolences for Taj, but I didn't share details with anyone. I'd prefer to avoid revealing the location of the Court of Desolation. One day, I'll gather some flowers that grow in arid desert conditions. And then, I was hoping you'd join me in planting them on the remains of the Court of Desolation. By the way, something strange happened a few days ago. A merchant approached me and requested that I cover the cost of a desert travel kit. 1,250,000 mora. I didn't remember owing anyone mora, especially not that kind of amount. So I arrested the merchant, on charges of provocation and disturbing the peace. Do you know anything about this?
Nope. Paimon has no idea what that could be. Been made acting Grand Sage, but with that personality of his, oh boy. You think things will be okay? Why don't we go to the Academia and ask around?
how's everything going with your thesis?
I should be able to publish it next month. A few days ago, I was worried that I'd have to stop my work on it. Thankfully, that didn't come to pass.
Well, Azar was one of your thesis advisors. Honestly, I was afraid that you might have gotten dragged down as well. How did things get settled?
The newly appointed acting Grand Sage reviewed all of our projects and gave us permission to continue our research.
Acting Grand Sage? That sounds like a new thing.
Yeah, I heard that selecting new sages has been taking some time, so he's just filling in. But it's all thanks to him that our research results weren't jeopardized. Once my paper is published, I'm definitely giving myself a long vacation and getting some much-needed rest. Mondstadt sounds like a good idea.
They're really out of their minds, making Al-Haytham the acting Grand Sage?
Take it easy, Professor. I'm puzzled as well. Just going by qualifications, you're one of our most preeminent scholars. I don't know why they picked a stripling like him.
Fool! Do you think I'm angry because I wasn't chosen for the position? No! It's because I don't understand why they chose him! He was one of my students, but he rarely attended class. When I asked him about it, he retorted that self-study was better use of his time. What brazen arrogance! Misery of miseries! For the Academia to have him as the acting Grand Sage?
Professor, don't get so worked up. I'll go get you some water.
Psst. Want to hear a secret? I've heard the new acting Grand Sage is from Haravatat.
Really? Who is it? Someone named Al-Haytham. Never met him myself, but he's a real hot topic right now. Lots of things being said about him. Hard to tell what's true and what isn't, though. There's also a Vahumana scholar who's been in the spotlight recently. They say that he's a likely pick to be one of the next sages.
Oh, is he teaching any courses? Maybe we should drop by.
Wow. News of Al-Haytham being the acting Grand Sage sure spread fast. Some people don't know who he is, though. Guess he's less famous than Paimon thought. Some people are saying good things and others bad. Especially that old guy just now. He really doesn't like Al-Haytham. Hey! Are you okay? You don't look too good.
The Matra.
The Matra?
I'm Ilias. I have to talk to a Matra about something important.
In the state you're in? You shouldn't push yourself. Why don't you tell us what happened and we'll pass on your message to a Matra?
No, I have to tell them myself. They are the only ones I can trust. Sorry, can you lend me your arm? This is an important matter. Failure is not an option.
Since you put it that way, fine. We'll take you to a Matra. We promised to take him to a Matra, but we don't know that many, do we? Oh, wait! Cyno should be back at the Academia! Let's go find him! Hey there! Excuse us, but is Cyno at the Academia?
You two look familiar. Are you friends of Mahamatra Cyno? I'm afraid he's out on a mission right now. But if you'd like, I can pass whatever message you might have on to him.
We ran into this guy by the gates, and he seems really eager to speak with the Matra. It sounds like something urgent.
Oh? If you don't mind, why don't you tell me about it first?
Siraj.
Siraj. That name sounds familiar. Isn't he a Vahumana researcher?
Vahumana researcher?
Yes, one of their most renowned, in fact. I hear he's as daring as he is intelligent. There are rumors he'll become Vahumana's next sage. But please continue, good sir. What about Siraj?
I want to report him for conducting a dangerous experiment. He kidnapped me, tied me up, and took me to that horrible cave. Experimental equipment everywhere. I ran as fast as I could, a little slower, and he would have caught me.
There's no rush. Please, take your time. What kind of experiments was he conducting? Where is this cave?
I don't remember.
Huh? You can't remember?
All I remember is Siraj walking towards me, and then my head started feeling weird. It's like a nightmare that I can't recall. I just know that that place is dangerous, and that they must be stopped. Oh, I heard they conduct business in the tavern. We have to hurry.
Even if what you say is... All right. I'll have some of my colleagues look into Siraj. But before that, I would like to administer the Matra lie detector test.
You think I'm lying?
Please don't take it the wrong way. This is just standard protocol. Sorry, but can you two wait out here a little while? We'll be back soon.
Huh? Alhaitham?
Let me bring you up to speed. First things first, Ilyas passed the lie detector test. This indicates that what he said is highly credible. As such, we've decided to launch an investigation based on the leads he provided. Per protocol, this matter was reported to Acting Grand Sage Alhaitham. After hearing about it, he left a message for Mahamatra Cyno and then asked to join the investigation.
Huh. It's kind of weird for you to be working with the Matra. Is there a special reason?
You're overthinking things. My interest was piqued is all.
Really? I'm unsurprised you have this much free time. In that case, let's join in as well, shall we, Traveler?
It's already against protocol for Acting Grand Sage Alhaitham to participate in this investigation. As for you two... Oh, never mind. After all, you were the ones who brought Ilyas here. I'll allow you to accompany us, but you have to promise to keep everything confidential.
Don't you worry. Our lips are sealed.
All right, in that case, I'll fill you in on what we know so far. Ilyas claimed that Siraj will be conducting some business with a Kasharawar researcher at the tavern. This is one of his few clear memories. It seems he stumbled upon this information while escaping. Incidentally, Siraj isn't at the academia right now. He applied for long-term off-site research 1 month ago. It's close to the time that Ilyas had given, so we've decided to head to the tavern and investigate any suspicious persons.
That's right. Arav, prepare to head out. You two, do as you will.
Oh, come on! We already said that we're coming!
We're here, Acting Grand Sage Alhaitham. What's our next course of action? Acting Grand Sage Alhaitham.
Looks like you haven't read any memos lately. The new Academia decree clearly states that even a sage doesn't have the authority to interfere with the Matra's actions during an ongoing investigation. If your superior were here, he wouldn't be asking me what to do. Instead, he'd be telling me to stay out of the way.
You're right. Understood. Then please wait here as we lock down the perimeter and search for suspicious persons. Ilyas, please stay here. Acting Grand Sage Alhaitham, I'll have to trouble you with the protection of our primary witness.
Sure. Though I'd rather he just protect himself.
He's the same as ever, casually ignoring people just like he did back at Aro Village.
Answering a simplistic question only enables the questioner. Besides, I need him to understand my position clearly. Arav has just as many doubts about my coming along as you do. But unlike you two, he's making this matter more complicated than it is, with his considerations like the acting Grand Sage is trying to seize the Matra's powers. That question was obviously bait. The Matra were once under the influence of the sages, and so were often subject to these bureaucratic traps. The test was strictly unnecessary, though. I hope that our exchange will assure him that I won't interfere with their work this time.
Why is this so complicated?
This is why I was against becoming the acting Grand Sage from the very first. Titles and rank inevitably make a lot of things more troublesome than usual.
Excuse me, Acting Grand Sage Alhaitham. I've had a question on my mind, and I need to know the answer no matter what. Have we met before?
No. I have no recollection of ever meeting you.
Haha! I thought so too. I probably wouldn't have had anything to do with someone of your caliber.
Then why did you ask?
Well, for some reason I felt a sense of familiarity when I met you for the first time.
Really? A misperception, perhaps. Or...
Acting Grand Sage Alhaitham, we've apprehended a suspect.
Siraj?
No, it's the Ksharawar researcher who has dealings with him. His name is Narendra.
Acting Sage Alhaitham? Wait, can someone please explain what's going on? I admit that I did steal some mechanical components from the lab and sell them, but does something like that really warrant the personal interest of the Acting Grand Sage? What have I gotten myself into? I know I let greed get the best of me, but please, I promise that this won't ever happen again.
I would like to ask him a few questions.
Of course.
Do you know Siraj?
Yeah, that's the name of my buyer. He asked to make the transaction at the tavern, but he never showed up.
What were the details of this transaction?
He's doing some kind of experiment that seems to require many power generators and electrical components that can only be found in our project. He contacted me in private and said that he'd pay a large sum of Mora if I was willing to put some aside for him, under the pretense of them being defective parts. We had originally agreed to meet at the tavern earlier today to do the trade. I sure didn't expect to get stood up, or run into you all.
Perhaps Siraj was aware that Ilyas might leak information, so he intentionally didn't show up. Whatever the case, it seems that this lead ends here. The good news is, regardless of what Siraj was planning, his progress will now be severely hindered by a lack of power generators and electrical components. We still have time to conduct our investigation. Do you have any more questions for the suspect?
No. He's all yours. But I'd like to borrow Ilyas for a while.
Oh, that's fine. We conducted a comprehensive lie detection exam, which showed that he has a genuine case of amnesia. We're not planning to pursue any further breakthroughs on that front. However, I am curious, what do you need him for exactly?
I've read some papers regarding amnesia, and I'd like to try restoring his memories.
I see. We'll be returning to the Academia then. I'll leave Ilyas in your care.
Follow me.
Welcome! I hope you'll have a wonderful day.
Siraj didn't show up at the tavern, and Narendra didn't give us any leads. Ugh, that means we're stuck. Oh, Hatham, are you serious about seeing things through? Paimon's pretty surprised that you're this interested in the case.
I thought you would have guessed the reason by now.
Huh? Paimon has no clue. Hey, do you know?
Yes, we were classmates.
Oh, so that's why you asked to come along when Arav briefed you on the situation. So you're not here because you're interested in the case itself, but because you know the suspect?
You couldn't be further from the truth, but I wasn't expecting much from you to begin with. For the time being, all you need to know is that we were once classmates. I became the scribe afterwards while he continued his academic endeavors. He submitted a thesis 1 year ago, and the Grand Sage at the time asked for my opinion. I did not approve of it because it committed one of the 6 cardinal sins by touching upon human evolution. From violating matters regarding human evolution to attempting the forbidden and fearing none, the 6 cardinal sins are the origin of all evil in this world. They are also what the sages use as a reference when formulating or amending the rules of the Academia. My opinion was that Siraj's research was both overly naive and in violation of various core principles. The Grand Sage took some of my suggestions on board and ultimately decided to reject the application.
So that's why he's buying energy sources and electrical components.
He's most likely trying to circumvent the rules and conduct his experiment in secret.
That sounds super suspicious. Oh, we gotta stop him. Ilyas, can you try to remember things again? Maybe something new will pop up.
I'm sorry, but I've already tried many times. And no matter how hard I try, it feels like everything in my mind is shrouded in a thick mist.
It is possible for a person to subconsciously forget some of their memories as a defense mechanism against extreme stress. However, these memories aren't truly lost, but merely sealed away. They can be restored with the appropriate stimulus. Now, try to recall things you care about. They don't need to be related to this case.
Well, actually, I feel like I've forgotten more than just the memories of the time I was kidnapped and experimented on. The kind of person I am, the things I've done, I can remember some things, but I can't recall some others no matter how hard I try. But I do vaguely remember that there are 2 things that I have to do no matter what.
Do tell.
The first is to get my paycheck from the Academia and give it to my younger sister in Gandharvaville. I'm not sure about the details, but it seems that I would send money to my younger sister every month to pay for family expenses.
And the second thing? What's the second thing?
I can't remember. Sorry, there's just so much I can't recall.
Not unexpected. However, you're the only one who has seen Siraj and knows the exact location of his cave at present. As such, we'll do everything we can to help you regain your memories.
Losing your memories must be really painful. But don't you worry, we'll help you get them all back.
Oh, thank you so much. This feeling, it's more than just pain. I don't know how to describe it. I have so few memories that I don't even have a clear idea of who I am. And my head's always ringing. It feels like I could faint at any moment. But amidst all that, it also feels like I've been set free somehow. Nevertheless, I have you all to thank for bringing me what clarity I do have right now. Now, I do remember that I worked part-time at a place in the academia called the Research Preparation Center. That's also where I got my monthly paycheck.
I see. In that case, let's go and find whoever's in charge there.
Oh, Acting Grand Sage Alhaitham. I've sent this period's research expenses report to your office. Have you taken a look? Are there any issues with it?
I did. Recent research expenses have decreased quite a bit compared to past figures.
Yes, though that is primarily because there are fewer scholars with research needs. But that can be a rather convoluted topic. Might I ask why you are here today?
I believe you know this individual. His name is Ilyas. He worked part-time here, and he's here for his paycheck.
Oh, yes, of course. Though, Ilyas, where have you been these past few days? That was our busy period, but then you disappeared without a word. Everyone had to pick up the slack.
I'm sorry, something unexpected came up. But I know I've caused trouble for everyone. Is there anything I can do to make up for it?
The other researchers have more or less finished your share of the work. However, there is one thing that is yet to be settled. Do you remember Chandra? You were in charge of following up on his off-site research application. He retracted his application a few days ago and canceled his off-site project. He's the 12th person to retract a research application this month. I'd like you to ask him why he did that. Chandra is probably having coffee at this hour, so you can find him at the cafe.
Understood. Then, about my paycheck.
I'll pay you in full once you return. However, make sure you don't disappear without saying anything again. Be considerate to your colleagues and give them some forewarning at least. Is this acceptable, Acting Grand Sage Alhaitham?
I have no objections.
Things at the academia have been strange lately. People have become much less interested in doing research. This will definitely be bad in the long run.
Ilyas? Long time no see. What can I do for you?
I heard that you canceled your research project, so I'm just here to ask you why.
Oh, that, it's really nothing special. I just don't feel like going anymore. I'm not the only one who canceled, right? I mean, people have had no motivation to conduct research lately, haven't they?
No motivation to conduct research?
Yeah. Say, who might you be? You look sort of familiar.
Oh, don't mind me. Please, continue.
Well, with the downfall of the Sages not long ago, many of the projects that they led were put on hold while they were being investigated. With the situation being so volatile, people are picking up random things to do to kill time. No one wants to risk starting any new research until it's clear how things will pan out in the future.
When you say how things will pan out, you actually mean what the new Sages would have interest in, right?
Wow, talk about blunt. But that isn't the only reason for the lack of motivation to start new research.
So what are the other reasons?
Well, because the Akasha terminal shut down. I'm sure you're all aware that we require all kinds of knowledge to perform any of the research we do. Back then, the Akasha would respond to any of our requests for the knowledge we needed. It was beyond convenient. We didn't have to spend an extended amount of time studying, so we were able to immediately run various tests and experiments.
I see.
You get it, right? After having had a taste of something so amazing, who can be bothered to manually sift through data and files ever again? There are only a handful of people at the academia who are starting new projects or performing research. Most people are like me, waiting for a recognized researcher to start a project before immediately applying to join. Although our names will be further down in the paper, we'll have a much easier time. We don't have to do most of the mental heavy lifting. All we have to do is focus on our assigned tasks.
Ilias? What's wrong?
My head... it hurts! I remember now. I remember what Siraj said to me as he approached. You will become Siraj number 36. Fuse yourself with a consciousness under my control. Think only in accordance with a set module, like a worker bee in a beehive.
Paimon doesn't get it. What does that even mean?
It's what Siraj was researching and the topic of the thesis he had submitted. Collective consciousness and the path of evolution. Siraj believed that by achieving 3 objectives, he could create a collective consciousness in human society and drive humans toward their ultimate evolution. First, he would rank test subjects in descending order of ability, with number 1 serving as the Overmind. This Overmind would then divide tasks into numerous modules and delegate them to the collective's members based on their assigned number. Lastly, members would share their memories and emotions to facilitate the rapid exchange of information within the collective.
Paimon still doesn't get it. What's the point of all that?
Think of it as linking many minds together and tailoring a given mind's assigned work based on its compatibility. Eventually, everyone's minds will be consolidated into a new form of existence that is both an individual and an organization. Siraj believes this collective consciousness is superior to individual humans.
Whoa. Squishing a whole bunch of people together? Paimon thinks that sounds horrible.
It's just as Al-Haytham said. Siraj gave all the test subjects different numbers. Bigger numbers meant you had a lower rank, so your assigned tasks were less complex, such as being responsible for everyone's basic needs. Smaller numbers were ranked higher, so you'd be given more complex assignments like planning for the future. Siraj referred to me as number 36, and I think that was a low-ranking number. I also recall that Siraj said his plan was proceeding very quickly, and that the hive would soon be complete.
Oh no, then we gotta hurry! We have to stop him before it's complete!
I tried my best, but that's all I can remember. I still can't recall where the cave is. I'm really sorry.
Take your time. You'll eventually remember it all. However, something doesn't seem right. Some details don't add up.
What's off?
You were only designated as number 36? What a shame. From what I can see, your talents merit a smaller number.
I'm not sure what Siraj's numbering system is based on. Anyway, we're done here. Let's go.
Please, wait. I heard you all talking about Siraj just now. Are you looking for him?
Huh? Do you know something?
Well, Siraj is pretty popular as of late. I heard he's gained recognition from a lot of well-known researchers. Supposedly, he's a strong contender for being one of the next stages. There are many who would give up everything to be a part of his research team. I'm nothing special, though, so I doubt I'd get the opportunity. That said, I do know a researcher who received an invitation from Siraj but declined it. Her name is Janaki. If you're interested, you can try to find her. She's usually reading at the pavilion in the garden.
Are you Janaki? We'd like to ask you a couple of things about Siraj.
Ilyas?
Do you know me? I'm sorry, but I don't recognize you.
Are you playing dumb with me?
No, I'm not. I actually have amnesia, so I've lost a lot of my memories.
And? Are you trying to say that I should forgive you just because you've forgotten what you've done? Or are you using the acting Grand Sage as backup to settle things with me? The two biggest loners teaming up. What a terrible thought.
That's enough. There seems to be a dispute between the two of you, but I have no interest in that. I heard that Siraj once invited you to join his project. Is that true?
So, what if it is? Siraj did extend an invitation to me, and I was also interested in his project. I think it was about collective consciousness or something. Anyway, he said that I could be number 45. I refused because I thought that rank was too low. No one wants to be placed at the bottom. Certainly not me.
Ilyas is number 36, and Janaki was supposed to be number 45. Ugh, just how many people did Siraj have his eyes on?
Tell me, did Siraj tell you how he assigned numbers?
Yeah. Remember how the sages took advantage of the Akasha and extracted Yana energy from our heads back then? They left a document that records the amount of Yana energy that the Akasha had extracted from each person. I don't know how Siraj got his hands on that document, but he used it as the basis for his numbering system.
I see. He believes that this data can be used to evaluate a person's computing power. Putting aside the validity of the data, it is meaningless to judge individuals based solely on their jnana energy. At most, jnana energy can only be seen as representing a portion of a person's abilities. Humans are complicated beings, so it is impossible to evaluate them using a single criterion.
See? I knew I couldn't have only been ranked as 45.
What else do you know about Siraj?
That's it. He came to me, I refused, and that was the end of it. Is there anything else you needed? If not, I'm out of here. I've had enough of this eyesore.
Please, wait. I still want to know what I did in the past.
You really forgot?
I swear, I don't remember anything.
Paimon can vouch for him. The mantra also said that he truly lost his memories.
I see. You know what? It's better this way. I get angry just thinking about it, so I really don't have the patience to fill you in. All you need to know is that you got a lot of people in trouble back then, including me. That's all I have to say. Goodbye.
And she's gone. She doesn't seem to like you very much. Do you really not remember anything?
I really don't. But after she said that, I've had this heavy feeling in my chest. I guess I did something really horrible.
Do you want to remember?
Huh?
Even though you're a witness against Siraj in this case, you've also lost your memory. No one can force you to remember if you don't want to. Even if you manage to remember, all you would need to do is feign ignorance and tell us that you tried the best you could, but to no avail.
I'm not sure what to do. Like I said before, for some reason I felt a sense of freedom when I realized I had lost my memories. But I feel like I shouldn't be allowed to go free so easily. I still want to remember everything. What should I do?
I can look up your file. Something that caused trouble for a lot of people in the past must be on file somewhere. Would you like me to look into it?
Yes, please.
All right, then let's return to the House of Dana. We've spent enough time here, and you should go and get your paycheck. Let's split up for now. Ilyas, you go and deal with that. The rest of you, come to the archives with me. We'll meet back here later and then head over to Gandharvaville.
Okay. Thank you all so much.
Relax, Ilyas. Being nervous accomplishes nothing.
That's true. I'm ready. No matter what I've done, I'm ready to face it. I'll also try my best to remember anything else related to Siraj. We'll put an end to all of this.
I'm holding you to that. See you later. Okay. The important files from the last few years should all be here.
What's wrong?
Nothing. Anyway, I found Ilyas's file. Let's meet downstairs.
What have I done?
This file indicates that you were once commended by the Academia for your courage and sense of justice. You were considered a hero.
Huh? Me?
Yes. Your instructor was engaging in academic fraud, and you were the one who reported him. Your report was found to be true after a series of investigations, and your instructor was brought to justice by the Matra. This incident caused quite the commotion, and the Academia sent you a commendation. What is it? Are any memories coming back to you?
No, it's just... my head feels like it's being ripped apart again. It hurts. Did I seriously do that? Then why?
Let's put this matter aside for now. It isn't directly related to Siraj, so there's no need to push yourself over it.
I'm sorry. That should have been something good to hear, but my body is instinctively rejecting it. I feel like I'll black out if I try to remember.
Take it slow. Recovering memories is no easy task, especially when it involves memories that you don't want to remember. Just do what you think is right.
Thank you. I'm not sure how you're so calm and composed all the time, but it does make me feel more confident about the situation I'm in.
Let's head to Gandharvaville and deliver Ilyas's paycheck to his sister. Come on!
We should be close. Let me think. It should be this way.
Ilyas, what are you doing back here?
Dad, it's nothing. I was just wondering how everyone was doing.
You sure everything's okay? Did they bully you again? It's all right. You can tell us. Ilyas, what's wrong?
I'm fine. Just a minor headache. I haven't been getting much rest lately.
Back then, I told you not to be a hero. Look how things turned out. I can't imagine how things are going for you at the Academia. We've even been receiving threat letters.
You don't have to force yourself to stay at the Academia. You can always come back home.
I'm all right. I just need a little rest.
Ilias doesn't seem like he wants them to know that he has amnesia.
Hey! That's enough, you two. Ilias isn't feeling well. You can keep nagging him once we get home. Ilias, let's find somewhere to talk. So, how's your headache?
It's much better now. Oh, here. It's this month's paycheck. How's everything at home?
Same old, same old. It's just that everyone's worried about you. Don't mind their nagging. Deep down, they know that you did the right thing. It's just that after hearing a lot of bad rumors about you and seeing all the threatening letters, well, they're mom and dad. Maybe they just want you to conform a bit more.
Conform.
Yeah. You don't remember? After the incident, you... Ilias? What's wrong?
Ah, I see. I remember now. Don't worry, I remember now.
You're acting a little weird today, you know? Anyway, I understand your decision. But Mom, Dad, and I just want you to be happy. I don't care if you're a hero or not. I just want you to enjoy life and relax more.
Your understanding is a great comfort to him.
Is it? That's good. Are you a friend of his?
More so these two. My name is Alhaitham, and this is the Traveler in Paimon.
Oh, that rings a bell. At any rate, I feel more at ease knowing that my brother has friends. Would you like to join us for dinner? I just happened to buy some extra food.
Sorry, but I still have things I need to take care of.
Well, that's a shame. Okay, I'll get going then. Take care of yourself, Ilias.
Don't worry. I won't do anything to make you guys worry again.
You remember now?
Yes, I do. Thanks for that. You know, you don't seem like such a bad person.
Is that your way of conveying gratitude?
Oh, my apologies. But I meant every word. Remember when I asked at the tavern if we had ever met? I said that there was a sense of familiarity, but what I really meant was a sense of loathing.
Loathing?
Yeah, but having spent some time with you, I realized that you're not someone I dislike to that extent. Strange, isn't it? Why did I have those thoughts at that time?
My strength is that I don't care about what others think. If you could also develop this quality, then you won't be as bothered by complicated social relationships.
It'd be great if I could think like you. But first things first. I remember where Siraj's cave is now. I'll take you there.
Really? That's great! Paimon remembers that you said there are 2 things that you had to do. We've only checked off 1, right? What about the other one? Are we not gonna do that first?
There are more important things at hand. We have to stop Siraj before he completes his collective consciousness, or it'll be too late.
You're right. Let's head out.
This is the place.
It's so well hidden. But there's nothing spooky about it. Let's go inside and take a look.
Wait. Huh? No. Whatever.
Book learning alone is not enough to cultivate intelligence. All those scholars in the academia are prime examples.
Weird. It's bigger on the inside than Paimon imagined. Are you sure it's still a work in progress? Ilias, do you remember this place? Huh? Ilias! Where'd he go?
I don't sense him nearby.
Did he get separated from us? Should we wait here or turn around and look for him?
There's no need for that. Let's keep moving.
Alright. We'll continue in and see if he catches up to us.
It's okay, Ilias. You've done more than enough for me already.
I don't understand. Everyone knows that Johnny is stealing your research. Why is no one willing to go public with the truth? He shamelessly used your thesis to send in a project application, and whenever the project hits a wall, he asks you for help. Everyone knows what's going on.
Do you know how many people are working on that project? If Johnny was kicked out because of academic fraud, that'd be the end of the project. Too many people would be affected.
But he's obviously taking advantage of you! He throws you the hardest work, and after you're done pulling all-nighters, he struts around with your research data and takes credit for it. That's not right! Why are you putting up with this?
A lot of people warn me to not say anything, and I think they have a point. This is just how things are. All I want is to graduate without any problems. It's okay. He's at least paying me.
Half a year of your time and effort. Countless all-nighters and casual threats and insults. All for a measly 20,000 mora? He's treating people like cattle.
Enough. It's fine. I just need to suck it up and get it done.
What's the matter? Huh? You could read minds this whole time and you never told Paimon?
Of course not. I was also able to see those memories just now. They were probably the ones that leaked out while Ilias was connecting to the collective consciousness.
Connecting collective consciousness?
It's clear that this place isn't a work in progress. The hive has long been finished. The collective consciousness project is already complete, and Ilias is now returning to the collective. Not entirely. Keep walking and you'll see why.
I'll protect us.
Shine down!
Go.
Here you are.
Let the show begin. Wheel of life.
Here you are.
There is no escape!
Faster? Okay, faster. Life goes on.
Flicker. Diffract.
There have been many poorly written applications lately. I guess I'll just have to reject them all.
It's completely different from what Ilias said. This place looks like it's been done for a while.
Contributing to the collective by only thinking to your strengths. How easy.
Wait. Huh? No.
Alhaitham. Just thinking of that name fills me with hatred. We must get rid of him.
Book learning alone is not enough to cultivate intelligence.
An entire year's worth of work down the drain. And for what? Your reputation? Do you have any idea how many people you brought down?
You could have played hero any time, so why couldn't you have waited until the project was complete?
I don't understand what you guys are saying. Are you saying you don't care that Raju jumped to his death?
It's a shame. What happened to him? I thought he was stronger than that. Everyone has been working hard to complete the project. He could have endured for a bit longer, but he chose now, of all times, to...
In any case, we're done with you. Because of your recklessness, the Matra are putting Johnny on trial. This project is done for. None of this affects you at all. But do you know how many people, myself included, needed this project to complete their studies? Now our futures are up in the air. If worst comes to pass, we might not be able to graduate. Do you understand now?
I'm sorry.
There's no need for an apology. It's not like I'll accept it anyway. You'll pay for this.
Hey, you're blinking out again. What did you see this time?
Don't jump to conclusions just yet. Save your words for when we see him.
in case, why don't we take both keys with us?
Alias, this is all very strange. Is there really no research group that will take you? Well, to pass this course, you must complete a paper with other researchers. I know you're a hero for fighting academic fraud, but well, we can't make exceptions for heroes, now can we? Maybe you should try to improve your relationship with the other researchers. Getting a reputation for being too unconventional will not stand you in good stead in the long run.
I understand.
You seem troubled.
Who are you?
Where are my manners? My name is Siraj.
Siraj? I've heard of you before. Do you need something from me?
The world hates people who don't fit in. I imagine you've had your fair share of trouble. After you reported Johnny for academic fraud, you were ostracized and shunned. Even your family can't understand your actions. However, I'm working on some research that will help you merge into a collective. That way, your life won't be so dolorous. How about it? Wanna have a go?
What did you see?
Paimon can't believe it! He really did trick us! That Giga Jerk! No, Siraj is the real Giga Jerk here. Ilias is just a regular jerk. Ooh, Paimon's so mad! We're gonna find him, and we're gonna make him explain himself!
You've come. I intentionally slowed my integration into the collective consciousness because I wanted to see you one last time as Ilias. And I wanted to apologize to you as him. It was only at Gandharvaville that the second thing I must do occurred to me. Bring you all here. To throw off the Matra and bring Alhaitham to the Hive. That was my task as Siraj number 36.
You were already Siraj number 36? But you passed the Matra's lie detector test!
Yes, I truly did forget many things during that time, even my identity and assigned responsibilities. However, it's not that I got scared and forgot. I chose to delete those memories. It's difficult to fool Alhaitham, so I had to create the perfect guise for myself.
And the best guise is when you believe your own lies.
Correct. I only told you that the hive was incomplete because I had deleted my memories of its completion. It was finished a long time ago. Before I left, I was already living as number 36. Now, I choose to return to that identity. Only here can I be truly free. That's all I wanted to say. After I enter this room, my consciousness will merge back into the collective. And so, this is goodbye.
Is this your decision?
Yeah, the person we know is world is painful sometimes, but Paimon doesn't think that's a reason to run away.
Do you need more time to consider, Ilyas?
Hey, who are...
That is Siraj.
So you're that Giga Jerk!
Giga Jerk? Huh, how bold of you. Have I done something to offend you?
You!
I modified Akasha terminals to allow users to share memories and emotions. Then, I recruited researchers from the academia to build a collective consciousness. I assigned numbers to everyone and divided the experiment's tasks amongst themselves. Here, people can live easily and happily without needing to exercise complex mental thought. This is what they have chosen. All I've done is fulfill their wishes.
You're just trying to justify yourself!
Then I ask you, what's the difference between here and the outside? There are researchers at the academia who engage in dangerous research in extreme environments while others become idle and listless. People are so obsessed with collective will that even those on the fringes will attempt to fit in after suffering setbacks. Isn't that right, Ilyas? There's no need to deny this, as it is fact. It is natural for social creatures to congregate together. And the terminus of conformity is a collective consciousness through which even an ordinary bee colony can become a powerful swarm. Replace the bees with humans, and this model becomes even more potent. Welcome to the hive, Al-Haytham. You once arrogantly denied the merits of this project before the Grand Sage. A few simple words from you, and my research was consigned to nothingness. Of course, I'm well aware that you don't care about any of this. You don't care about the pain of others. But I didn't give up. I made my thesis into reality.
When we arrived, I noticed many empty rooms in the hive.
Oh, you noticed that? Then can you guess where their inhabitants are? The answer is the academia. They're executing another phase of the plan. The plan to install me as a sage. The collective consciousness links all of us into a single mind, showcasing our individual strengths as we work together. We are able to execute complex undertakings while instantaneously modifying our strategies in response to unexpected situations. Everything has been proceeding smoothly. You are our biggest obstacle. With you out of the way, I'll use my growing influence to turn the collective consciousness into a legitimate study. The project will snowball until ultimately everyone will be part of my hive. No. The hive will be in control, and it will lead the academia towards a new future.
We won't let you do this!
What can you achieve with mere words? You weren't even able to change Ilyas's mind. Return to the hive, number 36.
Yes.
Wait! Don't go back! Look! There are lots of people out there worried about you. And you aren't an outcast. Aren't we your friends?
That's easy for you to say, given that you're travelers. Will you two continue to stay at the academia? When you leave, tragedy will repeat itself. Return, number 36. You know as well as I do that comforting words don't make life any easier.
Ilyas? Why?
You two are just as arrogant as Al-Haytham. You think that everyone should be like you and live according to their own truths. But you don't realize that most people simply want easy lives. I allowed number 36 to leave the hive without his memories only because I knew he would eventually return. This proves that I know more about human nature than you do. Al-Haytham, do say a word or two. I will consider them as your last.
I made those words quite clear a year ago. The model you presented was extremely unstable. No amount of garish packaging will change its fragile nature. It can't be helped. If you were clever enough to realize those problems, then you would have been aware that the Hive changed when Ilias returned to this collective consciousness of yours.
What?
What's happening?
The collective needs motivation to execute its plans, just as machinery requires energy to operate. That's why you, as the Overmind, synchronized your hatred of me into the collective, prompting them to create and execute a plan to eliminate me. However, when Ilias returned to the collective, his memories and emotions were shared with the rest of its members. This includes his perception of me.
Thanks for that. You know, you don't seem like such a bad person. Strange, isn't it? Why did I have those thoughts at that time?
This contradicts the hatred you had provided them, and these two differing emotions will give rise to new conflict.
So that's it. Wait, so you knew that Ilias would return to the Hive? And then you pretended to keep him around just to fool Siraj. Wouldn't expect any less from you, Alhaitham. Once the collective consciousness bugs out, we'll take that opportunity to... wait. It's back to normal already.
Alhaitham, I told you. You're too arrogant. Did you really think that your little scheme would be enough to destabilize the Hive? Ilias's return had indeed introduced abnormal emotions into the Hive, but such a meager drop cannot give rise to waves. Your struggle has been in vain, and it's time to end it. Allow me to show you what makes the collective consciousness so formidable.
So many monsters. Where did they come from? And something feels off about them.
I also integrated monsters into the collective, though I ranked them last. Even so, they are part of it. Despite their lack of intelligence, perfect cooperation can be achieved, much like soldiers who have undergone strict training. Now then, drown in endless waves of monsters. You will all pay for your ceaseless arrogance.
Hey, Alhaitham? Your plan didn't work, so what do we do now?
I've already sent my gift to the collective. It'll take some time for the recipient to receive it. You two just need to brace yourselves for the nuisance in front of us.
Well, alright. Paimon doesn't know how you get so confident, but we'll hold them off for as long as we can.
I'll protect us.
Go.
Spring forth! Scatter!
Well now.
Alhaitham isn't that bad of a person.
But it has to be done. He must be eliminated so that we can evolve.
Shine down! Torn to oblivion!
Flicker.
I'll protect us.
A process of elimination.
You see? That is the will of the collective. Even with the hatred gone, they continue their work. An external anomaly cannot shake the collective's stability.
Let's dance. Oh, no!
escape!
Life goes on.
Here you are.
He won't hold out for much longer.
He's a lot tougher than we imagined.
Something's gone wrong with the Academia. The mantra.
Propagate!
Shine down! Inazuma shines eternal!
Rise. Ready, steady, go!
Germinate!
I'll protect us.
Scatter!
What's going on? What's with this sudden influx of information?
Silence! As the Overmind, I command you!
Let's dance.
Illusion shattered!
Wheel of life.
Scatter!
Well now.
I'll protect us. Rise.
Shine down!
Flicker. How bold.
Orders given. Orders received. Let's dance.
Now you shall perish! Illusion shattered!
Propagate!
Deflect! How is that possible? Why hasn't it been resolved yet?
Was there an error in our judgment?
The will of the collective cannot be wrong. The Overmind must have made an error in his judgment.
But Siraj is the most intelligent among us. He is number one. His judgment is the optimal one.
Is that true? No, not necessarily.
Let's dance. Wheel of life.
Scatter!
Inazuma shines eternal!
Let the show begin. Rise.
Scatter!
Here you are.
What have you done?
Calm down. Don't you have an easy way to figure this out? You were only designated as number 36. What a shame. From what I can see, your talents merit a smaller number. Putting aside the validity of the data, it is meaningless to judge individuals based solely on their jnana energy.
What you said to Ilias, has now become a memory shared by all members of the Hive. I see it now! You've channeled and amplified their selfish desires! You're trying to destroy my Hive from the inside out!
Human minds are not infinitely pliable, and your Hive has stretched many of them to their limit. Once your authority as Overmind starts to wane, it won't be long before your subjects snap back. Is it worth living here like a machine? Being a tool for the rest of my life? As soon as one person begins to have these thoughts, selfishness, doubt, and fear will propagate, thanks to the web of consciousness that you built. At this stage, your so-called Hive has already fallen.
It's not over yet. I am the Overmind! There has to be a way!
It's too late. Once the desires of the Hive accumulate, beyond a certain threshold, they will kill their king.
Wouldn't have suffered such a disgraceful defeat if I was the Overmind.
My number shouldn't be so far down in the list! Siraj is alive!
This isn't what we agreed to!
I should be the one in your position!
The Hive shut down? What happened just now?
Members of a collective consciousness are more likely to reach a consensus because of their shared memories and emotions. For example, Ilias did have differing perceptions, but he ultimately followed the collective consciousness's judgment. However, this system is far from perfect. Based on this logic, the collective consciousness will generate an intractable diffusion effect upon encountering negative emotions. The disturbance that Ilias caused wasn't for naught. It made the collective question the Overmind.
Setbacks in the plan further amplify doubt, which diminishes the Overmind's influence. This inevitably causes the collective to generate negative emotions.
Apprehension, disappointment, panic, avarice. These negative emotions can be very well hidden, as humans generally do not share completely transparent channels of communication. But in the Hive, where there are no secrets, negativity can spread like a tidal wave. Of course, what I said to Ilias was the trigger for all of this. A few words were enough. Believe in the power of words, Siraj.
You were already thinking of a way to destroy the collective consciousness. Even back then. You knew that Ilias was the bait all along? But how did you know? Since when?
I knew it from the moment I saw him. Moreover, I never looked down on you. My opinion of you has always been objective. You have a naive view towards the concepts of collective consciousness and human evolution, but you are intelligent and disciplined. You would never let a test subject escape. Mistakes like that are beneath you, and you also won't leave any mistake without a resolution.
I never thought I'd hear those words come from you. But if you're saying that out of sympathy, spare me. I know very well that you've never viewed me as an equal. When you were with us, you always had a distant look in your eyes. You don't need to hide it. I know it better than anyone else. The arrogance that comes with being a genius. Nobody likes being treated like that.
Your perspective is entirely born from your habitual way of looking at things. From your perspective, you probably think I'm like you, someone who doesn't fit in. However, I've never placed myself on a pedestal. I just want to distance myself from meaningless noise and look at everything objectively. On the other hand, you have failed to come to terms with who you truly are. You care too much about winning and how others perceive you.
You mean to say that I'm the arrogant one here?
Is that not so? Arrogant and emotionally fragile. You view people as a simple, mediocre collective, while you regard me as one of your kind.
Regardless, I have lost. You can take me back to the Academia to stand trial.
You will stand trial, yes. But arresting people isn't in my job description. I'm just an ordinary staff member. I believe it is the General Mahamatra's duty to escort you away.
Cyno? What are you doing here?
I followed the symbols. Looks like things have already been settled.
Symbols?
I left a similar picture in my letter to him, and I made several similar symbols on the way here.
Wait, what do you mean you left a letter? Oh, Paimon remembers! When Paimon first saw you, Arav said that you had left a letter for Cyno. So you really did know that something was up with Ilias from the start! You lied to us too!
It'd be best if you didn't spout nonsense. I never employed any mode of trickery on you. By the way, I came across some information at the Academia a few days ago. If you practice the method discussed therein, your vision may improve. Do you need it?
Seriously? This guy. By the way, Cyno, Paimon heard that Siraj sent more people to the Academia. We can't let those jerks get away!
Don't worry. The Matra have started screening suspicious persons, and we've already arrested many of Siraj's associates. This was likely one factor that caused the Hive's consciousness to waver. Everything went as you predicted, Al-Haytham.
Good. Seems like the interesting part is already over. I'll leave the arrests to you all. See you.
And off he goes. There still are a lot of test subjects here, so let's stick around for a while.
Oh no. Oh no. I was involved in all these plans to get rid of the acting Grand Sage? What came over me? How could I do something like this?
We were accomplices without knowing it. But I'm afraid that Al-Haytham might pressure the Matra into giving us heavier sentences. Whether he's the scribe or the acting Grand Sage, we can't afford to offend him. It seems our future at the Academia will be full of uncertainties.
We can discuss the future later. Leaving the collective left me with a strange sense of guilt. I didn't feel anything towards Al-Haytham at first, since he wasn't well known. All the opinions I heard about him were negative, though. Siraj made us hate Al-Haytham, and we blindly accepted that hatred and thought of him as a bad person. From how things look, we've done a lot of irrational things.
I guess we're getting what we deserve. Could you help us apologize to Al-Haytham?
Sure, Paimon will help you tell Al-Haytham. But whether he chooses to forgive you is up to him.
It's okay. No matter what he chooses, apologizing will make us feel slightly better. If he chooses to remember this, we're prepared for our punishment.
It's time to go.
Let's go.
So, were they all duped? We can ask Al-Haytham about that later.
Looks like I can't exist as Siraj number 36. Yet, my life as Ilyas goes on. When I was at Gandharvaville, I thought about whether I should just come forward with the truth. But I didn't have the courage then. So in the end, I lost my sense of justice, but I also wasn't able to conform.
Ilias?
Don't be sad. I'm the one who deceived you. However, I didn't come out of this completely empty-handed. The moment the hive collapsed, an idea popped into my head. I realized that the collective I was always trying to fit into wasn't as powerful as I had imagined. Understanding that gave me courage somehow. Perhaps one day I could be just like Alhaitham and not care about what anyone else thinks.
You can do it. Paimon believes in you.
Thanks. Well, I should get going. I'm one of the primary suspects in the case, so I'll have to receive my due punishment. Can you keep this a secret from my parents and my sister? I just don't want them to worry. Also, please apologize to Alhaitham for me. Goodbye, you two.
All the test subjects have been taken away. I'll have my subordinates seal the place, retrieve all documentation, and destroy the system. Are you two hurt? I brought bandages and hemostatics.
Paimon's fine. Just a little tired.
Get some rest. Alhaitham is probably waiting for you at the entrance. Go see him when you're done here. Watch out for any of Siraj's associates who might still be in hiding. If you encounter anything you can't take care of, come find me at the Academia.
Okay, you stay safe too, Cyno. Let's go meet up with Alhaitham.
The matter's settled. We can return now. I actually thought it would have been settled sooner. This took much longer than I expected. Judging by your faces, it seems like you two still have some questions. I respect your curiosity, but I'm off the clock now, so I'm not going to field any questions.
Hey, we're not your colleagues!
You couldn't tell that was an excuse just now?
What? Are you kidding me? You're not leaving today until you explain what happened back at Siraj's secret base!
See ya.
Hold it right there!
Are you done? Your behavior is reminding me of some other people.
Stop changing the subject!
It's too much of a hassle to explain everything from the top. You know what? Come with me.
Where to?
You'll know when we get there.
This your home?
Yes.
What's with you all of a sudden? Being all polite and inviting us over?
Ah, you're back. Quick, come help me see if this painting's all straightened. Huh? Who are they?
Stop making a fuss. They're obviously guests.
You're not from the Academia, are you?
I'm unsure she's seen you before. You're that person from that time in that one place!
Wait, what? How do you know me? Oh no, do people know that I live here?
What? You're embarrassed only now of all times?
Oh, you guys are roommates!
Yes, we are, but keep that to yourselves. Please, don't tell anyone else.
I keep a few books on collectives and the subconscious here at home. I'll get them. You all chat in the meantime.
Hey! You're leaving just like that? What's the deal, Alhaitham? Sorry, I know we've only just met, but I have to ask. Are you, you wouldn't happen to be actors that Al-Haytham hired to pretend to be his friends, would you?
What?
Guess not. I've never seen him invite friends home before, so please excuse my surprise. You guys get it, right? You know, with his temperament and stuff.
But aren't you friends with him?
I wouldn't say friends, exactly. Okay, well, we used to be. But we're not anymore.
Huh?
Don't worry about it. My name is Kaveh. I'm sorry to have met you under these circumstances. Anyway, please don't say anything about me living here.
You seem like you got a lot going on. So maybe Samora will make Paimon shut up.
Are you serious? How could you... Of course. You're Al-Haytham's friends.
What? That was a normal response. You exposed your own weakness.
Still, why do you have to treat me like he does?
Judging by the deafening din coming from the living room, you all must be getting along quite well.
Entertain your own friends, why don't you?
I'll leave the books here.
Paimon's dizzy from reading. This is way too complicated. Why don't we just ask questions instead? Paimon wants to know, oh, how did you know about the collective consciousness's weakness?
A year ago, Siraj presented his thesis to the Grand Sage, who offhandedly asked for my opinion. I actually responded with 2 lines of reasoning. The first, as I've already said, was that his research was on human evolution, a subject prohibited by the academia. The second was that I thought the direction of his research was too extreme, but his approach too conservative.
Wait, that's too conservative? He built such a large lab, gathered all those people, and even tried to get rid of you!
One way to stabilize a collective consciousness is to remove the test subject's humanity altogether. The optimal solution to achieve collective consciousness is to focus solely on the overmind and treat the other test subjects as tools.
That's way too dangerous! You're not seriously considering that, are you? 'Cause, whew.
I'm merely stating the facts. If Siraj had done that, I would have felt his work to be just as senseless. It's impossible for any species to evolve overnight, and humans without their humanity cannot be called humans. That's why the academia prohibited research into human evolution. Most research of this kind tends to run contrary to evolution.
Huh. Paimon gets it now.
Ha! That's rich coming from you. If humans aren't humans without their humanity, then you'll probably evolve into some other species in another decade, I wager.
What about you? Are you going to devolve into a fungus?
At least I'd be a fungus with empathy. Sorry for eavesdropping, but what happened to you guys? Are you in trouble?
Sort of. We encountered a strange researcher that had it out for us.
Are you all okay? Huh. So that's how things went. Such is life. If only he'd known, Al-Haytham could have stayed indoors today, and the whole thing could have been avoided, right? Plus, he could have helped me with the housework for once. See those books? They've been sitting there waiting for someone to sort through them for an age. If you're not gonna read them, tidy them away. They don't belong there.
Can you feel the awkwardness in the air? I hope you're aware of your lack of conversational skills.
Oh, so the pot's calling the kettle black, is he? Well, having said all that, are you okay?
I'm doing quite well. Much better than that painting you're trying to hang on the wall.
You don't understand anything. Stop criticizing my taste in decoration.
Paimon can't tell which of them is more problematic. Let's just get this over with and leave.
You whisper very loudly.
Oh, yeah, Paimon's been told that.
Do you have any more questions?
Let Paimon think. Oh, by the way, the other researchers apologized to you. They hope that you can forgive them.
I bear them no ill will. More accurately, I don't really care about what they think of me. To some extent, they were also fooled by Siraj. The Matra will take this into account at their trials.
Ilias also said that he wanted to tell us the truth at Gandharvaville, but he didn't have the courage. He apologized to you, too.
It doesn't matter. I never considered asking him to come forward with the truth. Judging from his experiences, he's more courageous than the average person. There's no need to lay even more criticism on him. Criticizing the brave only shows how weak you yourself are. I'm going for dinner in 10 minutes, so I'll field one last question.
Paimon doesn't have any more questions. How about you? Oh, yeah, that's a good question. You only started investigating with the Matra at the Academia because you were interested in something, right? But after meeting Siraj, it didn't seem like you were interested in him or his experiment.
I had no interest in him personally, but I was curious as to why so many people were willing to form a collective consciousness with him. I now understand the reason. Correct. The fall of the sages and the shutdown of the Akasha terminals deeply affected the Academia. The fact that Siraj's project attracted so much interest despite not being approved speaks to the lack of research projects as of late. As the acting Grand Sage, I'll have to figure something out. In addition, what happened to Ilias is worth our attention. Reporting academic fraud was the right thing to do. He didn't deserve the outcome that he had received.
Paimon understands now. Oh, you're pretty serious when it comes to work, huh?
I think minimum viable seriousness is a more apt description. I'll do my best to take care of this mess until my resignation is approved.
Wait, your resignation?
Yes. I've already submitted my resignation to the Academia. Soon, I'll resign as the acting Grand Sage and go back to being its scribe. I don't think Siraj knew about that. If he had waited just a few more days before acting, I would have already resigned. What he'd do then wouldn't have been any concern of mine. However, even without my input, his unstable model would have collapsed for some other reason, so it makes no difference.
But why do you want to resign?
I'm not suited to be a sage, nor do I want to be one. The official process to select the new sages is already underway, but this process is long and takes far too much time. If I serve as acting Grand Sage for too long, the position might become permanent. That would be troublesome. This job isn't something I want to spend the rest of my life doing. It's important to keep your priorities straight. Well, it's about time. You two should grab some dinner as well.
Oh, now that you say that, Paimon's kinda hungry. See ya! We're gonna grab some yummies!
See ya.
The name Siraj doesn't ring a bell. Was he in your class?
He isn't someone who would leave an impression, so it's expected that you don't remember him.
I've always had a hard time appreciating the way that the Academia pressures people by labeling them as geniuses. But even so, the Academia can't be left to you. Or perhaps I should say that I'm delighted to see that you have a base amount of self-awareness. If the people in the Academia haven't gone mad, they'd know that I'm much more suited to be a sage than you.
And I suppose they'd let everyone know that your career as a sage will be as shaky as that painting.
Again, that's mighty rich coming from someone about to resign. In a few days, you'll be managing files again. You'll be back at rock bottom.
But my salary will likely stay the same.
Wait, what? How come? Why do you get special treatment?
At least I don't have to be an architectural designer who works himself to death just to get a smile from his client.
You... I took time out of my day to clean the living room for you, and this is the thanks I get for it? I'd have been better off catching up on my work. I still have designs to finish.
Make sure to pay back the rent you owe me. I'm going to buy some furniture with that, Mora.
What? Are you trying to annoy me to death? The decorations you buy keep getting uglier and uglier. What's the point of having a boring wood carving in your house?
You'll have to blame that on my financial freedom.
Fine. Go ahead and hide behind your financial success if you want. But if we forget Mora for a second, do you have anything of true value to boast about?
I think I'd have too many choices, to be honest. You, on the other hand, can you think of any redeeming features at all?
Artistry, for sure. You don't know the first thing about interior design. Don't go off buying random furniture unless you take me with you.
So I'll have to bring you along and then buy you drinks?
Of course.
But why would I do that? It would just be another form of a loan, and you'd have to pay me back eventually.
Can't you just be nice and not ask for the Mora back?
Pretending that you're not in debt is as ridiculous as pretending you're not living in someone else's home. Word will get out sooner or later.
Speaking of which, your friends won't say anything, right? Tell them to keep all this a secret.
There's no need to hide it so carefully. I think the truth's already out. You're such a lightweight that a few drinks at the tavern had you spilling all your beans.
What? No, it can't be.